The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
Welcome to the bonus show. So a big story today is that President Trump has changed his permanent residence. He is now a resident of Florida, specifically at his Mar-a-Lago Golf Club in Palm Beach. And of course, before he was at Trump Tower in New York City. He also lives at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. But I think for like official purposes, his address all along was Trump Tower in New York. And so you may say, what's the point of even covering this? Why is this a big deal? Well, it actually does have some serious political implications, both for the 2020 election and the Trump tax return story that's going on in New York. So in response to all of this, when announcing this decision, Trump said on Twitter, "I cherish New York and the people of New York and always will. But unfortunately, despite the fact that I pay millions of dollars in city, state, and local taxes each year, I have been treated very badly by the political leaders of both the city and the state. Few have been treated worse." It's, of course, a very Trumpian thing to say. "I hated having to make this decision, but in the end, it will be best for all concerned. As president, I will always be there to help New York and the great people of New York. It will always have a special place in my heart." So this is not a gimmick. Trump does spend a lot of time in Florida. He spent 307 days so far of his presidency at one of his properties there, including 239 days at one of the golf courses that he owns. Not a surprise. The president does love to golf. And I remember especially at first, like the first year of his presidency, Trump was spending a lot of time in Florida. They were even calling Mar-a-Lago the Winter White House. I remember Sean Spicer holding press conferences and he was talking about how they were going to head down from Washington to Florida permanently for the winter, setting up shop there. And of course, it was a total disaster because Trump's golf club is not set up to handle official government business. It's not set up to deal with like the classified documents that you want protected by some sort of like normal infrastructure that you would get in Washington, that you would get at the White House. And I remember too, Shinzo Abe, the Prime Minister of Japan, visiting Trump at Mar-a-Lago, and there was some international crisis that had just gone on. They had like a bunch of papers spread out on the desk at his golf club, and they were trying to deal with it all. And random passersby could just walk by the table that they were all working at and like look down at those classified documents. So it was a total disaster that they tried to do that. I don't know if they still call Mar-a-Lago the official Winter White House or if he goes to Florida as often in the winter, but he still does spend a lot of time in Florida. So I think, it does stand up that he could change his permanent residency to Florida. I think that passes the sniff test to me because he does spend a lot of time there. So officially, this is being done for tax purposes. Of course, Florida does not collect state income tax, whereas New York does. And Trump is currently battling with the state of New York, trying to stop his tax returns from getting released to the public. Apparently, according to the White House, it does have some sort of implications for that case. Trump moving his address to Florida, although it's not entirely clear to me how. But at the very least, I mean, it would stop him from having to deal with this in the future, right? I mean, if he changes his permanent residency over to Florida, at least from here on out, maybe he won't have to worry about those state tax returns getting released to the public. But I think more interestingly, this is a very smart strategic move for 2020, for the presidential election, because there is that home state appeal that I think reaches some voters. It's not like a determinative factor by any means, but it could be the type of thing that can put you over the edge. I don't think that Mitt Romney had any chance of winning Massachusetts in 2012, and certainly Trump had no chance of winning New York in 2016, although he claimed that he did. He thought he was going to win New York and California. If you're just trying to fight for a few hundred votes or a few thousand votes, like maybe this is the type of thing that can push you over the edge, that sort of home state appeal, that I understand the specific needs of your state because I'm from your state. And of course, Florida, it's very powerful. It's 29 electoral college votes. That could be the deciding factor in the election. I think if Trump wins Florida and maybe picks off one Rust Belt state, that would put him over the edge. So like Florida and Ohio, or Florida and Pennsylvania, Florida and Wisconsin. 29 electoral votes in Florida, that's a lot. And we all know that it's a swing state. It's maybe the most important swing state. In 2000, Florida was decided by only 500 votes. And because George Bush was able to edge out the win officially in Florida by about 500 votes, that meant that he won the presidency. And there's no reason not to believe that a similar thing couldn't happen in 2020. And, maybe Trump changing his residency over to Florida means that he could win Florida by 1,000 votes instead of lose it by 1,000. You just never know. So I think Trump has a good shot at Florida, especially when you think of like the northern parts of Florida and the elderly population of Florida. And it just got me thinking, like, which of the 2020 Democratic candidates do I think has a good shot at winning Florida? and which do I not think have the best shot at winning Florida. So out of the top three, just going purely off my, sort of political instinct here. This is all conjecture. I'm not going to back this up with any facts or anything. I think that if it's Joe Biden versus Donald Trump, one could call it a toss-up, but I think I would give the edge to Biden, although it could go either way. If it's Bernie Sanders versus Donald Trump, you got to give it to Bernie. I think his populist appeal would do well there, and he would be able to pick off the right parts of the state, encourage the right people to vote to win Florida. If it's Elizabeth Warren versus Donald Trump, I think I think my instinct would tell me that Warren's the underdog in that race. I could definitely see Warren winning Florida, but I don't put her as the favorite. So I know this is all electability game stuff here, and David doesn't like to play that game. He's not into the electability games as much, but I think it's an important factor. Certainly, it's not as important as policy and integrity and like personal values, those sort of things that you want to look at first and foremost when deciding a presidential candidate in the primaries. But it is something that you have to take into account. Like, can the candidate that I am supporting, can they actually win in the states where they need to win? Because you have to think strategically in that sense. So as we previewed yesterday on the bonus show, a couple of nights ago, my pants were stolen. And it's bad, it's embarrassing, but I feel as though I should tell you the story as a sort of public service announcement. I want to make sure that everyone understands that their pants are not always safe. Mine certainly weren't. And, maybe you can learn some lessons from what I had to go through here, because we do live in a big bad world. I live in a big bad city, and even though it's a relatively nice part of town that I live in, you still never know. Your pants still can get stolen. So let me tell you what happened. I was doing my laundry on Wednesday night, and of course most of you here are going to stop me. They're going to be like, wait, Pat, don't you do your laundry on Monday night? Yes, I typically do, but there were special circumstances this week that caused me to have to do my laundry on Wednesday night. So I'm watching the World Series. Game 7, I saw the Nationals go on to defeat the Astros to win their first championship in franchise history. And I'm doing my laundry simultaneously. And when it's all said and done, I go down to the laundry room to collect my stuff, to get everything out of the dryer, so I can fold and finish up the whole laundry process. And I noticed there are 3 of my socks scattered on the ground below the dryer that I was using. But at the time, I think not much of it. I think maybe they just fell out, like the door popped open or someone opened it thinking that it was theirs and then realized it wasn't. So no big deal. I collect my stuff from the dryer, I fold the clothes, and then all good to go. The next morning, I'm getting ready for work, picking out the outfit, and I noticed that the jeans that I want to wear, the jeans that I just purchased a few weeks before, that would have perfectly matched this outfit that I had planned out, they were gone. They were nowhere to be found. I looked everywhere, all over my room, all over my apartment, and then I retraced my steps. I went back down to the laundry room. I checked the washer as I was using. I checked the dryer, everything, and they just weren't there. And of course, panic set in, fight or flight set in. I put two together, and I figured, well, the pants are gone. The socks were scattered on the ground yesterday. These pants must have been stolen. So what I do is I go right into investigative mode. I know that there are cameras in the laundry room, so I contact the building management and I tell them what happened. I ask if they can review the cameras. They said that they can, and this all happened yesterday morning, so hopefully soon I'll be able to get some actually good positive footage and see exactly what happened to confirm that they were stolen and by whom. And basically the building management company said that if it was a tenant in the building, they can likely get the pants for me because they have everyone's picture. They would likely be able to identify the person that did it, and I would have some recourse there. But if it's just some random person off the street who snuck in, or maybe it was like the guest of a tenant, then there's really nothing that they can do aside from, along with me, I suppose, filing a police report, which I just find hilarious because am I really going to file a police report over missing pants? Probably not. I don't think even if I did that the Boston Police Department would take all that seriously. I don't think they would prioritize finding my missing pants over the other stuff that they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So that I kind of found funny. But assuming it is just a random person off the street and it's not a tenant of the building, I think that the management company should step up and take responsibility and compensate me for my missing pants, because it's totally unreasonable to assume that I'm just going to stand in the laundry room the entire time when my clothes are being washed and dried and monitor them. It's not as if this is some fancy laundry room where you want to hang out. There's no seating. Everyone who does laundry in the building just goes down, they put their clothes in, and then they go back up to their respective apartments and they wait like normal people. There's no reason to think that I would need to be standing there watching my clothes dry. And also, if like the door is messed up and if they are able to get in from the outside, I think that the liability there is on the building management company. And of course, they're going to want to distance themselves from all of this. I have to keep the pressure on them, but ultimately, I have to wait and see the security cameras first. We have to sort of get to the bottom of that part first. And I want some sort of cash payment. I want $40. I want $50. I want something equal to the cost of my pants. And maybe other stuff was stolen out of the dryer too. I'm kind of surprised that the blanket that I had drying wasn't stolen, because assuming that it was a person off the street, maybe they would want that too. Apparently, they just wanted the pants. But I think that sort of adds to the hilarity of all of this. I think that the building management company is going to fight me every step in the way in getting my compensation. They're probably going to claim as though I'm responsible for my own stuff and for using the laundry facility. They're not responsible for that. But I'm paying to use the laundry room. I'm paying rent every month. I think it's totally reasonable for me to ask for $40, $50. And then last night, I also noticed that the door to the laundry room was in fact broken, that you can just open it easily from the outside. And that there is no security measure there. So that's the smoking gun. I mean, I have the video. I can show them that. And if they don't want to at that point accept responsibility and pay me out my $40, $50, we can get the legal team involved. I mean, I can hire a O.J. Simpson caliber team of lawyers to bring this to small claims court, and we can get it done. It's a $40 pair of jeans, but I think this is on the principle. This is the principle here. And I think I'm going to update you when I know what happens. Maybe that'll be on Monday with David on the bonus show, or next Friday. We have to get to the bottom of this, because this isn't just about me here. This is about my pants, and I think we all have to understand that.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.